The Crypto Markets Update is brought to you by KuCoin, the best place to find the next crypto gem. All right, joining us now to discuss the crypto markets is Kapil Rathi, co-founder and CEO of crypto exchange CrossTower. Hello there, Kapil. Thanks for joining us. So the crypto markets are under pressure, and this after BTC Miami, where there was a lot of optimism, enthusiasm, passion for BTC, yet we haven't seen that as a positive impact on the markets. And I wonder, what's your thought on and your outlook on why?
Yes, good morning, Christine. Hope you had a good conference in Miami. And
still recovering.
So yeah, I think you're right. We're definitely coming off the highs towards the end of March. Bitcoin peaked at its 200 moving day average around 48,200, and it hit the expected resistance. So most of the technical analysts were calling that as the top end in the short term, and we saw some profit taking from there. On the derivative side, we're seeing some appetite for leverage coming back in the market, but it's the macro event, like you mentioned, Russia, oil, inflation. They are putting that downward pressure. The only sort of kind of interesting news in crypto world is that what the move on tariff front and ongoing saga with Elon Musk on Dogecoin and Twitter.
Right. Taro being the Taproot-based stablecoin protocol for Bitcoin. And I wonder if you're taking a look at some of the trends on the exchange. You have an exchange. So what's going on with, are people accumulating or mostly selling? And who are the sellers, institutional versus retail?
Yeah, so I think sort of difference between how the options and futures market is acting versus how the spot market is acting. Spot market is driven primarily with macro factors. We're seeing going into sort of March 28th, March 30th, we saw a lot of buying, and then we hit the resistance. Then the supply started coming, and that came primarily from the institutional side. So that we see that as more of a sort of kind of technical trend. There was no real retail news, and even coming out of Bitcoin 22, a lot of people were hoping that there would be some major announcements. Unfortunately, we missed that sort of kind of punch factor. Like last year, El Salvador news came in, and that was a pretty big news. So Bitcoin 22 really didn't deliver any major news. There was a lot of actually institutions, as you probably saw at the conference. So Bitcoin is turning into a very institutional asset, which we all want it to be. It's moving in the same direction as traditional markets now. It is getting affected by macro trends. On the derivative side, however, we're seeing some really good trend in options, especially on the call side. We're seeing a lot of long call taking, buying positions on the derivative side, which is a healthy trend.
Mm-hmm. And since you're an exchange that focuses a lot on India, maybe you could talk at some of that about the India trends. We see that Coinbase has launched crypto trading services in India. They hit a snag with UPI, which is India's payment system. I wonder, how do you expect to compete with a Coinbase, and how do you hope they don't steal your lunch money?
Yes. First of all, I think I always say it's too soon to compete in any market. The overall pie is growing. Having exchanges like Coinbase come to India actually prove our move in India. Last year when we moved, everybody sort of asked, why are you taking such a big risk? What we saw in India was huge potential. The adoption of crypto in India is growing faster than any country at this point. Last I checked, India actually has the largest number of crypto users in the entire world. Of course, from a percentage of population perspective, it is still small, but the market is actually, it's a really growing market. So it's too soon to call it competition.
That's interesting you say that, because right now they have a 30% tax on profits from crypto transactions. That went effective on April 1st. Traders won't be able to set off losses from their crypto transactions. And the most controversial provision is that there's going to be a 1% tax deducted at source, TDS liability, and that won't take effect until July 1st. So I wonder if that's having any chilling effect on India's crypto market.
It definitely is. We are seeing drop in trading volume in India. Um, Again, there are positives and negatives of these type of government moves. Positive is back in November, India was talking about banning crypto. And we, CrossTower, went and took it upon ourselves. We published a report about India's potential with a $1.1 trillion add to its GDP if we actually embrace this technology. Government listened to it. They decided not to ban it. They, in fact, actually decided to tax it. So it has become a source of revenue for government. I think we won't be talking about banning crypto in India. So that's the positive side. On the other hand, this 1% TDS is going to be net negative for the industry. These type of taxes have been introduced in traditional markets. Europe tried it, US tried it, financial transaction tax, and they primarily hurt the liquidity. Most of the market makers who are going in and out of these markets, supplying liquidity, are going to be penalized for providing liquidity. So Indian government definitely need to pay attention to this. The transaction tax is never healthy for any asset class. We had cases by cases. So my hope is that the market will evolve, and then government will hopefully remove this TDS.
Maybe I was wondering if you could expand upon the challenges. So I mentioned before UPI, which is used in India payments, that was central to Coinbase's launch in India. Now Coinbase is saying that it's unavailable, and I wonder, why do you think that is? Is that a common problem? Is it there's just a little disorganization there?
Yeah, it is sort of kind of like, I think India's regulation is still in an early stage. Regulatory environment in every country is changing. Even in US, we saw Gary Gensler's speech coming in that is giving some direction towards regulation. Then Janet Yellen came in, which is giving another direction. So regulatory uncertainty is hurting every country.
And yet you think that there is still demand for more crypto exchanges. There's an untapped potential of India's addressable market.
Absolutely. I think India is just only starting. The population in India is extremely young. It is the youngest democracy in the world. It is tech savvy. It's very entrepreneurial, and there are still a lot of unbanks out there. So the growth in India is still sort of left out there.
And to that, you recently launched an NFT marketplace, and you're going to have drops using footage of the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, as well as Bollywood actors. I wonder, what makes your NFT marketplace different? Is it that you are cornering content made in India?
So our NFT marketplace is actually a global marketplace. This is primarily bringing a different angle to NFT marketplace with the creators in mind. A lot of creators are still struggling. I mean, you don't have all sort of kind of crypto natives necessarily going into NFT. We're seeing big brands like Louis Vuitton, Nike, the movies coming out of Hollywood, musicians, they all are coming into this space, but they are not necessarily familiar with the nuances of cryptography, nuances of gas fees, tax issues, IP issues, security. Us being an exchange, and we are seen as probably the most regulated exchange in the entire world. We are ranked pretty high on Crypto Compare. Us being an exchange gives them that comfort level. And our regulatory credibility, our understanding of some of these legal issues, the tax issues and technical issues, we provide that hand-holding to our listing parties, which is attracting some really high-end brands. For example, we are helping a Hollywood movie, to actually raise capital on our platform. Antara, that's the movie. And then
Antara was the movie, I believe.
Yes, Antara. And then we are also attracting a lot of Hollywood and Bollywood celebrities on our platform, which are attracted to sort of the white glove service that we are providing.
But I'm wondering if the ambivalence of the government toward crypto, has that placed a challenge on your crypto exchange, and have you been able to navigate that?
Yeah, so I think crypto is definitely still sort of kind of like a volatile market in India from a regulatory perspective, not necessarily from a growth perspective. NFT, on the other hand, provide a global exposure to artists in India. NFT is not necessarily doesn't necessarily have all the challenges that crypto has. It is not competing with the sovereign currencies. For us to be able to provide that global exposure to artists in Middle East, artists in India, and then also to bridge the Western world, have them reach out to this big country, whereas there is plenty of wealth, there is plenty of demand for a product like this. I think that bridge is going to be the key part in our growth in NFTs.